France v Argentina, the Pool C clash.
What a game.
And what a game. It could prove, as we suspect, to be a straight up game for the knockout stages as the pool transpires.
I think in all likelihood, yes.
Yeah. Which means neither team can afford a sluggish start, and momentum is a big thing in the tournament, and definitely on balance I'd say France have more momentum to just mine from the last few weeks than Argentina, obviously, who are winless for the year coming in. But Argentina have World Cup pedigree, France have World Cup pedigree. They both play attacking styles. They both found something this year. Like
it's got the hallmarks of a great game. It's going to be at 8:15 a.m. our time, an early start in Tokyo Stadium in Tokyo, and the referee suitably is the great Angus Gardner, who loves his open attacking footy.
Yes.
So we've got all the tools here for just a really fun game to watch. As a curtain raiser for the All Black Springboks. But huge game for both teams. I think from France's perspective, it's got to be just about sticking to their guns. You know, they've got to be a tough. Like I don't think Argentina's defense is terrible, but I haven't seen it be world class. I certainly haven't seen the likes of Orlando and De La Fuente being like guys who shut down that centre field.
True, but similarly, even in the pack, they do make some tackles on defence, but I don't see them dominate or shut these big teams down that often.
But they can often go toe to toe with them, like in that opening day against the All Blacks, opening day of the season where they limited them to 20 points.
Yeah,
but from France's point of view, I think you're doing what you do. You're flooding those narrow channels where there'll be one or two defenders with 4 or 5 attackers.
Bringing those wingers in off the wing to get their hands on the ball. Pinot has been doing that a lot. And getting the
loose forwards in those channels as well. They love to just isolate a channel and flood it with players, and they'll back themselves to execute 3-on-2s in a phone box.
5-on-4s, 6-on-5s, all that. They are excellent at catch pass, and they have an instinct for a try
as well. Run lines off each other, and that's the way they get their line breaks. And I think they'll definitely be looking to do that.
Yeah.
A bit of scrum dominance, I think, could be on the cards for the French as well.
That's what they'll be looking for. Like there is a tradition in the top tours of scrumming for penalties. They want to get into good areas of the field. Lopez and Dupont, both like Clermont and Toulouse, respectively, do like to play themselves into the right areas and then get that offensive game going. And they're two halfbacks who are wily. And I actually do give France, if all things being equal, I give them a slight halfback edge. I think Sanchez on his day may be the most class operator of them all sometimes, but the balance between him and it's not. Whereas Dupont and Lopez, in those two this year, they've quietly found what is a very tidy halfback pairing, and they'll be looking to win scrum time, because Argentina have been shaky there all season against top level packs, and then kick themselves into the area, get some mauls going, but then be able to recognise the space when it's there, because it will be there if they get all those things going and back themselves to execute, because their wingers will score all day. If they get
Pinot is great if you get him on the ball.
Yeah, Huget similarly, you love to take the mick out of him. He looks like hilarious, but like every time he gets his hands on the ball, he can make absolute class things happen. The French always have an instinct for a try. Like they do. It's weird, their mentality, where if it goes away from them, you can see them be absolutely awful for a time if they just aren't in the game. But if they are, and I suspect that won't be a problem for either team, they can make absolutely beautiful rugby happen. But then so can the Argentinians.
Yes, and one of the big questions France will have to answer is about their defence. For all of the offensive chops they have, for all of that scrum dominance that they could put on the Wallabies and probably having bigger, on the Wallabies and the Argentinians. And obviously those big ball carrying forwards as well. The defence is
the other side of the ball. They're not as good. For things like Dupont is not a weak link in that area, but it's tighter than that. They don't really have any jacklers.
No.
They have Camera in the squad, but even when he's there, he's
Camera will likely start. But I don't think he's
not an out and out jackler, but he does go for it more often than the others. Like an Arturia, you sometimes get stuck in there, but he's not. They don't have a Pocock level player in that area, and they're great, which is a shame because they're great off turnover. Like sometimes they smash a ball loose. Vamahina sometimes puts in a massive hit and the ball can come loose, and they can be devastating off that. But they don't actually have any foragers on the team.
But actually, the biggest question probably for me is just how's the straight first up tackling. I mean, they're probably going to line up very traditionally. They're not going to back Gatun to do miracles from 13 if they pick him there, or Fofana, whoever they go for. They're not going to be backing them to pull off miracles. They are just going to be numbered up for the most part, trying to execute tackles. And then the big question is on obviously Huget and Pinot, and whether they're going to have the ability to shut down those brilliant Argentinian wingers. Because from Argentina's perspective, they're going to be doing what they do. They're going to be going wide.
And you can get inroads against France that way. Like their forwards are a bit sluggish. If you move them from side to side, that's a good recipe for success a lot of the time. You even see a lot of times Ireland, who are not a traditional, like in Six Nations, don't traditionally play that game, but sometimes try to fire it around against France just to move them around and pull their defensive shape left and right, which is something Argentina do anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't always pay dividends, but against France you can definitely see how it can, because very often their forwards just get misaligned when there's a quick ball from one side to the other and can be slow folding around the corner, and that's when you really want your 10 and your centres to be spotting the gaps there, and their 10 and their 2 centres are probably their most experienced, balanced, kind of settled part of their team, even though their most dangerous part is their outside backs, but that little 3/4 line is really devastating.
And they sometimes throw Moroni in there as well, especially when they see a weakness in the opposition, so they could go with Moroni at 13 and really try and probe through the middle. They do have good vision, and as you say, you can tire the French out. So there's avenues for success for both offenses. It could be a question of just who executes better. France obviously seemed great in terms of turning turnovers into tries, or Argentina, or line breaks into tries. Whereas Argentina have been like lacking for a bit of clinical edge so far this season. They've been making tries and butchering them. They'll need to execute that right, and then it could become a shootout. But if it's to be decided inside of that area, and if a team is to get on top of another team and shut them down, I think the performance of Pablo Matera, who I think on balance, despite the French having a stronger pack than Argentina, is probably the single best rugby player in either pack.
Probably true. I would say
he's a sensational
awesome.
player. He's got magnificent hands. He's got a great turn of pace, and his defense
wonderfully
is incredible.
physical. Either side of the ball, though. His carry game and his smashing boys game is great. And when he's in a game, he's feisty, he's fiery, and that whole Argentinian pack have a bit of chip, like Petty in the second row as well. Has a bit of grit in him, and he can, when he gets in it, when someone like Matera sets the example, they can all get a bit like lovely and loose and flowy, and their forwards are all pretty tasty footballers. They can definitely link, even their rows can link up with the outside backs, because as you say, it is all about ultimately getting into the wings. But that the flip side of that is if it starts to go a bit wrong, discipline can pile on both of these teams. If one of them gets an edge, I wouldn't be surprised to see the other start floundering.
So if neither side gets an edge, you could see the shootout. But what's probably more likely is that one side will get an edge, and if it's to be Argentina, like, you can see the French picture so clearly. They're going to have a dominant scrum. They're going to be going to that man mall. They have some great ball carrying forwards who they'll be getting round the corner. You're like Torres, Camille Shah is an absolute weapon of a bloke if they pick him at hooker.
Even if he's off the bench, he's devastating.
But that's the big question Argentina will have to answer. And if there's one man you would want to be on the other side of that Camille Shah carry, it's Matera. And that's the picture they want to put. They want France to be going around the fringes and getting absolutely nothing, and then going wide when there isn't anything really on,
and maybe picking off an intercept or two.
Well, that's
the beauty potentially there.
There are conditions for both sides.
Definitely.
It's actually going to be a really fun game.
Yeah, it's one of the more even ones as well. And as we say, it's one of those absolute, pretty much pool deciding fixtures, and it's on the second day of the championship. So
it's on a nice edge, as they say.
They don't have a chance to build themselves in. They don't have an easy tier 2 game to kind of get their hands warm. They have to be hitting the ground running, and whoever is will likely be going through the pool, and whoever doesn't will be on the back foot and maybe the one to miss out.
Whoever doesn't has like a mammoth task of putting it up to England.
Unseating this England team that are purring along, so who are definitely the top seeds in this pool in more ways than one. So this fixture is just amazing. I like, there are a few just questions like to be answered, I suppose, by both teams. You're looking at can the Matera be in the game enough on breakdown on either side of the ball to inspire the Argentinians and shut down what is a dangerous France side, and can they finish? Because I've seen Argentina have threatened to be good for so long, and at a World Cup we know they're better than anything. But since really the final of Super Rugby, where the Jaguares did come unstuck, we haven't seen what was potentially great. We were excited by the Jaguares all through Super Rugby, and like even the first game against the All Blacks was encouraging. But the momentum hasn't clicked for them yet. So
none of the Europeans who came into the side were able to influence it at all.
That's true too. They wanted to solve their scrum issues, and it didn't happen with Figallo coming in. So there are definitely those questions unanswered, and it has to be done quick.
So in terms of predictions, where are you with these games? This game,
I've in our last week I was bigging up the potential for France, but both of these sides who are because they're so attacking and because they're not really that attritional in how they play when it goes well for them, I can see them both potentially making a run all the way to a semi-final and maybe beyond. but I can also see it becoming unstuck for either. I'm leaning more towards France currently, just based on a little bit more momentum coming in.
I can see that picture clear in my head for sure. We haven't got in much tape on Argentina since that Rugby World Championship, which was obviously rough. Rugby Championship, which was obviously rough for them.
So and then the game after against Springboks A, who were bulling for their places. They've
come close. They're not going to be playing the teams. France aren't of the same calibre of the Springboks and the All Blacks, obviously. So there are avenues for Argentinian success, and I do rate France a lot, but just for the mere colour of the podcast, I will go with Argentina. Because it is that close.
I'm thinking, it's like 52-48 in my mind. Flip a coin. They could. I think what is guaranteed is that it'll be a fun game to watch.
I think so.
I think so.
I think it'll be hard for us to not enjoy that one.
Yeah. Thank you very much for tuning into the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you're new here, please click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of all our new videos. And leave a comment as well, because we love the chat and conversation. Thanks.